First of all, I guess I should start by saying this is a little bit strange for me to be on this side of the camera. So, we're here today to raise our voices about how the Canadian government is spreading lies concerning Canada's so-called military mission in Afghanistan. The Edmonton Coalition Against War and Racism demands that the government stop lying to the people of Canada, recognize the occupation of Afghanistan for what it is, and bring the troops home now. One of the most common perceptions of Canada's occupation of Afghanistan is that we are providing humanitarian aid and reconstruction to the country, and that we are helping the people of Afghanistan. But the numbers tell another story. In 2006, the Senless Council reported that only 10% of Canada's aid was non-military. In the same year, Action Aid International reported that only 14% of U.S. aid to Afghanistan was used for economic assistance and reconstruction. Now the Harper government is saying the mission may be extended to 2011, but with a changing focus on humanitarian aid rather than combat in order to sell it to the Canadian people. This is in itself admitting that the current mission is more about combat and imperialism than humanitarian motives. As well, there is supposedly an exit strategy that cannot be achieved until 2011 because this exit strategy is tied to the training of Afghan forces. However, this is like when George Bush says that the U.S. is training Iraqi forces. It tries to make the U.S. appear as less of an aggressor and invader. Canada staying in Afghanistan to train Afghan forces is no less of a smokescreen to the continuing occupation.
Not in our name!
The U.S. NATO military mission is not supported by the people of Afghanistan. Independent polls such as the Senless Council show declining support for the presence of NATO forces. And just this past summer, the Afghan Senate called that a date be set for the withdrawal of foreign troops. The counterinsurgency operations have not brought greater peace and security to Afghanistan. Over the past year, there has been a huge increase in civilian casualties, with 200 in June of 2007 alone, and a 30% rise in violence. According to the UN, more civilians are killed by U.S. NATO forces than by the Taliban. By being involved in Afghanistan, Canada is not upholding international law and the Geneva Conventions. In fact, Canada is violating the Third Geneva Convention and the Canadian Charter of Human Rights by transferring prisoners to the Afghan authorities, where they may face torture or even execution. Foreign occupation has brought even more hardship and misery to the people of Afghanistan. Over 6 million people were at risk of starvation, according to the UN World Food Programme in 2006. Rural poverty is being caused by the eradication of the poppy crop, as Canadian troops help enforce the U.S. counter-narcotics program, which is pressuring the Afghan government to refuse to license poppy cultivation, even for medical purposes. Of course, in an attempt to whitewash the government's actions, the accusations continue to fly that those of us who are anti-war do not support the troops. In fact, it is the Harper government that is sacrificing the lives of soldiers for a false cause and damaging Canada's international reputation, while turning the people and resources of Canada over to Bush and company. As demonstrated in the 2006 Israel-Lebanon war, Harper is quick and willing to follow the Bush administration. We want the troops brought home now and an end put to the misuse of the military as an occupier of a foreign country against its will. Occupation does not bring peace. It only lends to the rise of the resistance. History has shown that the people of Afghanistan will resist any occupation, which is their right to do under international law. An end to occupation is a necessary condition for peace. Join ECAWAR in supporting the anti-war movement for a Canada with an anti-war government that will immediately withdraw its troops from Afghanistan and stop following the U.S. in its foreign policy. Bring the troops home now. Thank you.